But this is a story that I know will, frankly, make the hairs of your neck stand on end. Dangerous fighting-age men are claiming asylum in Britain. I can reveal shocking exclusive footage of an asylum seeker based at RAF Wethersfield. So he appears to be from Yemen. What you're looking at here is his Snapchat profile. So it says it's at that former military base, RAF Wethersfield. You'll see a few pictures of it flash up on your screen. He's also posted pro-Palestine content. You might have just seen flash up, there it is, calling for Allah to free the Palestinian people. Now, he's then posted content from inside that complex, but get ready for the really scary stuff, which is going to come in just a second or two as we work our way through this individual's Snapchat story. He's posted numerous videos and pictures of himself described as armed to the teeth. At some points, he appears to have AK-47s, pistols, knives. He's driving around in a car with weapons there. I mean, there he is, sitting in a room in Yemen, just casually holding a rifle, driving around with them. That's a massive knife. We've got rounds of ammunition, the 4x4 vehicles there that you'll see. All of this is available on this guy's Snapchat story. He was not trying to hide this. So he came to Britain illegally. He was then put in RAF Wethersfield. And look at it, phones, guns, knives, everything. That is who was living in RAF Wethersfield. And, I mean, bear in mind that RAF Wethersfield is a former military base. Yeah. And today, of course, the government announced that they were going to be using more military bases to house more people, quite possibly like that. But believe it or not, it gets worse. I spoke with a former worker at RAF Wethersfield, and he told me the following. Staff are apparently made to stand in close proximity to the migrants before they have undergone medical checks. Staff are not provided with PPE. They're not provided with protective medical gear. They fear being exposed to various diseases like TB or scabies. Migrants have 3 all-you-can-eat buffets every single day, but staff are not allowed to eat food from the buffet. They have to pay for their own food. Staff are apparently being asked to take a pay cut as well. They regularly have to break up fights between warring factions of migrants, normally over access to the games room. These illegal migrants are then given free buses to Colchester, Braintree and Chelmsford every single day. Some migrants are also allegedly exposing their genitals to female cleaning staff when they're in the shower area. Some migrants also are defecating on the floor instead of using the toilet. Now, if you don't believe me, there is a picture here to prove it, and I'm sorry about this, it is quite graphic, but unfortunately, you know, this is the reality, isn't it? So here we go. Let's have a look at it. There you are. They just defecate on the floor, and they expect staff at RAF Wethersfield to just pick that up for them. That is human faeces on the floor. Now, I've got these quotes from a former worker about what they claim the conditions are like at that site. They say to me, "We're not safe here. We are at risk of catching diseases. We don't know if the people here are terrorists or relatives of Taliban commanders. I am being asked to feed my family on just over £2,000 a month, but I have to sit here and watch these migrants stuff their faces at all-you-can-eat buffets 3 times a day, while the private company who runs the site makes massive profits. They stack their plates full of food, then put half of it in the bin, and then complain about the quality of the food. I have to bring my own dinner in. We're not allowed to eat anything from the buffet, even though it all goes to waste. They leave filth everywhere, they don't flush the toilets, they lie about their age, they say that their birthday is January the 1st. Some of them are at least 20 years older than what they say. They're allowed holidays to visit friends or family in places like London and Manchester, and we're not always sure whether or not they come back. They get free phones, a gym, whatever toiletries they want. If they want to leave at 2 a.m. to go for a walk, we have to let them out because, quotes, this is not a prison. There are fights all the time, and the only protection that we have is a body-worn camera. That's it. Some of the security staff are from India and Pakistan, and they don't even speak English. And they just leg it if there's any trouble. My taxes are paying for them to live like this. Now, we'll just remind you, again, that today it was announced that the government is going to be putting more illegal migrants in more disused military bases.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
So thoughts on my panel. We've got broadcaster Emma Trimble, Reform UK councillor Jamie McIver and Labour councillor Sebastian Sallow. Emma, I'll start with you. I know there's a huge amount to unpack there, but you've got a potent combination of gun and knife enthusiasts from war-torn countries, sexual assault going on as well, and the poor treatment of staff who work there.
Yeah, I mean, just to say first, I mean, the quotation there from the former worker at RAS Wethersfield, the fact that the staff are not allowed to eat, and that these people are coming here quite literally treating the entire country as their buffet, and that we have to pay for them to live like kings. I just think it's unjust and it's despicable. But to set that aside for a moment, to focus on the guy with his knives, to me, the obvious thing about this news story about how the government are going to be putting more asylum seekers into military accommodation, I immediately thought, well, just on the face of it, surely to everyone this is obviously a security risk. So I asked somebody who's a military-affiliated contact who has first-hand experience of this, and he told me that in places where they housed Afghans who were coming here as families, they were coming legally, they were part of the Afghan relocation scheme, and they were being housed initially on military bases. In those places, they still had weekly security breaches because they're on the inside of the wiring of these military bases. They walk off unescorted. They're having to be constantly babysat, basically, by the army. So there's a complete drain on personnel, on resources. They also had weekly incidents of sexual assault. And that's with people who are coming as families legally. And he said to me that he thinks that this, would be so much worse if you're housing people who are coming over illegally from these war-torn places, young men, housing them in these areas. It's obviously a security risk, and the MOJ should not be allowing this to happen.
No, I mean, we've got a lot of security risks there. I mean, Jamie, I know there's probably a lot you want to go at, but I mean, one of the things that really stood out to me, and people might think it's a minor detail, but I actually think it's really quite on the nose, and certainly from the former member of staff that I was speaking to, this is one of the things that really got to him, which was that they were being asked to take a pay cut. His take-home pay will be something in the region of 2,200 quid at the end of the month. He's got to feed his family on that and do all of that stuff. And he was saying, they are not even allowed to eat from the buffet. They have to stand there and watch as these people are treated better and really claim more in benefits every single month in the round than they do.
Oh, Patrick, it's just the typical story of this country that the British people have to bend over backwards to accommodate for people entering the country illegally. That's just a fine example, the staff at the hotel, the way they're being treated. But let's be real, real about this. This country is slowly turning into a third world hellhole when it comes to the sort of people that are being imported. Feces on the floor like that, staff not able to eat from the buffet but illegal migrants are. Let's stop calling them asylum seekers. They're entering the country illegally. They are illegal migrants. Let's call it what it is. But more importantly, these people are dangerous. As someone that lives near Epping, but actually Wethersfield is just up the road from me too. There are more people in that camp than there actually is in the entire village. This is getting out of control. I don't believe for a second the government is serious about deporting people because they're making plans for where to put them. Why are they putting them where people live?
OK, Sebastian, I mean, look, what's your take? I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, quite a lot of detail. Your views on it?
There is a lot. I would be interested to ask you, have we heard from HMP Wethersfield, RAF Wethersfield?
Yeah.
Have we had a statement from them?
We've gone to them for comment, yeah.
And they haven't come back to you?
They haven't come back to us yet, and also we've gone to the private company that runs that site, and they've not come back to us.
Because I think that's the crucial bit of information here. There are two sides to every story. Clearly what we've heard is incredibly shocking, but I'd want to hear the other side of the argument as well, to be able to form a full opinion on what's going on.
What could they possibly say to you about sexual assaults, about people who've demonstrably there had knives and gun enthusiasts and who are pooing on the floor? What could they say to you?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I'm not looking for anything in particular. If all of that is true, then I think we can all condemn it. That's pretty easy. But I've been a journalist. I know the first rule. You want to hear the full story. You want to get all your sources together.
With all due respect, the story is very clear across the country. You've got thousands of people entering the country illegally. They're being put in hotels. The government now saying they're going to basically copy Reform and put them into camps, but they're going to do it where there's populated areas, unlike Reform, who said they're going to put them far away from urban areas. The point is, the government haven't got a plan. There's no plan to stop these people from leaving these camps. At the moment, they can be sent freely to cities. I mean, for God's sake, the convicted sexual assaulter was walking the streets of Chelmsford. As far as we're concerned, these people in these camps are waiting to commit a crime. There is
waiting to commit a crime.
I believe there because
How do you know?
We don't know,
well,
and that's the point. And that's the point.
But you're saying it's the third word hellhole. You're saying that they're dangerous. You're making these assertions.
Yes.
We have a word for that. It's prejudice.
No. We have a word for it, and it's called not misleading the British people by telling them that it's the contrary. These people, we don't know who these people are. So to suggest that they might not be dangerous.
So why are you reaching the conclusion that they are dangerous?
Why are we reaching the conclusion?
Why are you thinking the worst of them?
Because they sexually assault young girls, because they've got TikToks and things with guns and violence, and they're coming from countries like Afghanistan. That's why.
Because they're coming from Afghanistan.
And
that's the reason you're seeing people are violent. Because somebody's an Afghan.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Is that what you think of Afghans?
No, I look at the statistics and they don't lie. That's what I do. I look at the facts, unlike people on the left that like to make people like me out to be something naughty because I dare suggest the facts.
Well, you've just told me you're reaching conclusions based on somebody's nationality.
I said we don't know, but we do know the facts.
Well,
look at the facts.
Some of those facts, obviously, with the stats about the Afghan sex assault rate, which is just 20 times higher than the rate of British nationals, obviously, as well. We don't want to prejudice any trials today, but there's some really quite shocking news out of London as well, which does appear to involve an Afghan. But just to get back to the point about the RAF Wethersfield issue there, the Libyan chap with the knives and guns, etc. The other aspect of that story for me was the free reign which these people have. So they are allowed to, let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and they say that they want to go out and about because it's not a prison. They are allowed out and about. OK, all right, I can see why it's not a prison. But if you are that way inclined, and you are somebody who is, has a history of basically being in some kind of militia group, I don't imagine everyone in Yemen drives around with guns. Maybe they do, I don't know, but. I think that's potentially quite dangerous to the British public.
Well, quite, and I'm actually thinking, I mean, it's obviously very plausible that they're not doing as much due diligence as you are, Patrick. I wonder whether they've even seen this guy's social media. And even if it's not a prison, there's no reason why there shouldn't be a fairly strict curfew to stop these people from wandering around the local area. I think people are rightly terrified by this. The fact that they can just, get these free buses to wherever in the country, and as that former worker said, can go off on holidays to visit people in other parts of the country and may or may not come back. I think, you're talking about prejudice. I think this is prejudice against the British people. I don't think we should have to put up with this. I think it's completely unacceptable.
What's the prejudice?
It's a risk. What's the prejudice?
Yeah, how is this prejudice?
Exposing British men, women and children to potentially violent people when we don't know who they are.
But you said prejudice specifically. Can you explain where the prejudice lies there?
I don't even feel like that's something that needs explaining.
Well, no, just explain to me, because I'm honestly baffled.
Asking people to put up with this, asking people whose taxes continually go up to have to continue funding this, to have to continue funding putting their families in danger is unacceptable. I think that's prejudice.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to ask you again, where's the prejudice, though?
The assumption that we're just going to keep taking it.
But who's that prejudice
because
towards?
Because I don't know the British people.
Is it not prejudice against the workers who are not allowed to eat the food that is funded by their tax money when they're working there on a low salary, while all of the asylum seekers, who many of whom will have entered the country illegally, are just allowed to engorge themselves on 3 times a day? Yeah, I think that's a bit prejudicial, actually.
OK, we'll meditate on that one.
OK. All right, well, yeah, we did contact the Home Office and indeed the private company who's responsible for RAF Wethersfield. They have not yet got back to us. Yeah, loads more coming on.